Yeah, I'm really settled in very, very quickly. Came down last week to have a look, a couple of days. Staff were excellent, really very warm and welcoming. The players, you watched some of the players training and things, so got a feel of Plymouth itself and the club. So and then we completed the deal sort of on Monday, really. So I came down to watch the game against Charlton. Really impressed with the fan base and the atmosphere. So it was really a no-brainer. I think in the end it was just the fact that I'm sort of Midlands based. It was the geographical side of it, but no, I'm happy to come down and commit.
It is always a consideration, isn't it? Coming all the way down to Plymouth, because anywhere really is quite far away.
Yeah, it is, and but I think it far outweighs the club itself, outweighs all those difficulties. So I think the most important thing is seeing the potential of the club and really keen to get on board with that and try and help out.
Lovely. We'll get stuck into that and kind of what you'll be doing here and relationships with people that are already here in a moment. But just a little bit about you. Tell us about your coaching experience.
Well, it's probably over 25 years
Quite
now.
a lot
so
of it, yeah.
Not that I look like that, but no, I think I started really with Graham Turner down at Hereford. Sort of was schooled really well by Graham, an old experienced manager, 1,000 league games behind him. So I learnt a lot from Graham. Went up to Wolves, which was my playing days. So back there for 5 years and worked with some good managers. And then ended up going to Cheltenham, and that was my first go at sort of managing. I had sort of 15 months at Cheltenham and alongside John Ward, who was a big influence on my career as a manager. And then obviously dropping away then to West Brom, and I did 7 years at West Brom, which was very influential, working with Roy Hodgson and Steve Clarke. So lots of good people that I've worked with, and then ended up at Bristol City for just over a season last year. So the FA stuff as well in between was really educational, working with the top players, Andy, which was a real privilege to work for your country and to the best youth elite players, which at that time and still is very, very healthy, producing some really good youngsters. So working likes of Foden and Sancho and Hudson-Odoi and Smith Rowe, and there was lots of good players there to work with. So yeah, all round really. So I've had a development sort of coaching and also first team environment and winning matches and things. So I bring 25 years of that experience, and I think it's always nice to work with a young manager who's got all aspirations to be learning in his job, and that's for me to help out, and that's what I'm here for.
Yeah, let's look on that England kind of period, because you mentioned some of the players that obviously you worked with, and that's an incredible calibre of player. But there was success you had in that time as well, wasn't there? Hugely with the under-19 European Championship winning team. Tell us about how all of that was like for you.
Yeah, I think first and foremost, before I start, I think we have to give a lot of credit to the Football League clubs who are producing these players. It's not necessarily England. We only get them for a short amount of time. So the EPPP is really working across the country, so that's the first thing. But then I think really the England setup was very, very healthy, where we're all based at St George's Park. It was like a club feel. So Gareth quickly sort of embraced that sort of club feel from 21s all the way down. So we were obviously working alongside the senior teams. So a real good feel about the place, and also I think probably the continuity through the age groups. Everyone was working off the same page, and it sort of snowballed from there. The 20s had won the World Cup, we won the European Championships, and then shortly after the 17-18s won the World Cup in India. So really healthy times, but the players were excellent. It's all about your players, the potential of the players, and it's nice now to see the senior team with all those players in, and it just goes to show that there was huge potential back then, and now they're obviously coming into the first team environment. So, and that smoothness of coming through all the age groups, and everybody singing off the same page really, and I think that's helped really with the England setup, and Gareth has led it exceptionally well. So long may it continue. I think there's still some huge talent on the conveyor belt. Jude Bellingham's coming in now at 18 years, 19 years of age, so and then there's more to come.
Yeah, no, it is exciting, and we kind of on a slightly smaller scale, I think we've got quite an exciting little academy coming through as well. I'm sure you've seen, and there's a whole host of homegrown players that are now in our first team. Yeah. Is that something that, as a coach, really excites you? The fact that you can see development and growth almost on a week by week basis.
Yeah, and I think that's why you're here, because it's not obviously a result of the priority, but it's about developing a football club with a DNA, with a decision that they want to use youth players and try and bring the local boys in. So as a coach, that's your responsibility to try and educate that and to try and develop that. So with my background, I've got that ability to do that. So it's an all-round package for me. It's obviously to help Stephen as well in his development and give him as much support as we possibly can. He has huge potential. Very excited to join him. He has a good reputation in the game, so that was another reason to come down and work with younger managers.
Yeah, on Stephen, on the gaffer, when you came down for the couple of days last week and saw how things were going, what is it about him that you see as being such a kind of exciting?
Very focused, very driven to what he wants to do. I also use the word measured. I think he's a very measured individual that doesn't really breed on the emotional side of it. He's a thinker. I like that. So, and I think massive enthusiasm for himself to develop, and a humbleness to say, look, I'm just starting my journey, and I think it's important that I've got to get the right people in to help me do that. So, yeah, I think he's, and I think in the game as well, we talk about young managers coming into the game. He's certainly one of those that has that huge potential to go. And I'm personally would like to see more British managers get up the scale and work more often in our game. I'm not against foreign managers, but it's healthy when you've got young British managers wanting to develop and get better.
And bring in people with experience like yourself. I mean, Kevin Nanskiville's obviously here. He's got lots of experience down at Argyle. But for that sort of, is it like a realisation that he no doubt will know that he'll need a bit of help and a bit of lean on for someone like
absolutely.
you?
But it's great for me as well. I don't, I'm not going to have all the answers. It's going to be, for me, the last 2 or 3 days he's trying to get a feel of how it works. There's a lot going right, and it would be wrong of me to come in and say differently. So I've got to get a feel of how Argyle plays and what's their theories and philosophies. So they're a great support team. I've been there 2 or 3 days. Kevin is an excellent support coach, and Darren, and behind the scenes with Jimmy and Sam as well, the analysts and the medical side. It's a tight knit group, which is really healthy. Doesn't happen very often in now. The clubs get bigger and bigger. There is more and more staff, but there's a tightness around this group of people helping each other, and it's really healthy at the moment. And for me, it's now to obviously try and add that support to it. But equally, Stephen can show me a few things, so it's not just all one way.
Yeah, he said he knew of you and about you through, you mentioned a former person you worked with, and Rob Kelly, who the gaffer was at Bury with, and Neil Dewsnip obviously is the other link. And he was like, when he found out that you became available after leaving Bristol City, it was like straight away on the phone.
Yes.
Talk to me about your kind of link with Neil, obviously through England. I imagine.
I first met Neil through England. Neil did the younger group, the 17s. We gravitated very closely to Neil. Real charismatic individual. Lots of energy, lots of thoughts about the game, and he was a pleasure to work with. He was one of our colleagues alongside a few others. But Neil I've kept in touch with, so obviously when you're working with somebody you have some special relationships, and Neil was one, and we've always kept in touch, whatever he's done and I've done in when we left England. So it was a surprise call. Didn't expect it. Having a cup of coffee at a garden centre, and said, look, fancy coming down? I said, yeah, I'll be interested to see what you've got down there. So, and he speaks really highly of the place, and obviously I came down and witnessed that.
How did you find the first couple of days with the players? Because it had been a pretty sort of tumultuous couple of weeks with the changes and everything.
I think, I watched the back end of last week, obviously leading up to the Charlton game, kept myself at a bit of a distance, didn't really get myself involved in that, came to watch the game and then started on Monday properly. So players have been really good, their professionalism, their focus into what they're doing every day has been excellent, so, and it's a tight group, there's only sort of 18, 20 players here, and it's going well, so there's a good feel about the place, and we've got to focus in on the next half of the season and try and sustain where we are and try and better that if we can.
Yeah, and that all starts rather sort of ironically against the side that you started your managerial career with, against Cheltenham. Yeah. Don't know whether the club's the same as it was when you were there, whether you've been lent on as a bit of
just saying, I've probably been there 10 years since I was there, so it's probably things have moved on a little bit, but it was always a homely club. I had some great times at Cheltenham, 5 years there, so now some good happy memories, and there'll be a few old faces to see when I get back there, but no, it's important. Obviously we need to build on the Charlton game and making sure that we try and get a little bit of a run going, and try and it's a difficult period with the games coming thick and fast, and try and keep everybody fit and healthy, and just make sure we come through a very busy period.
Absolutely, Keith. Well, I hope you're prepared for a lot of travelling.
Yes, I've been warned about it. Yes, yeah.
Good book or podcast to have to listen to on the way back from the journeys. But it's great to have you on board, and thanks for chatting to us.
Thank you very much. Thank you.